Bendy in the Dark Revival is here, and in today's video, I really want to focus on the intro area, the starting location for the game that Audrey and Wilson are in. We're going to be looking around to see if we can find any creepy stuff out of bounds that you normally can't see. We'll also be restoring the lights to the work building and, messing with Wilson a bit. Because here on HorrorScoped, I love breaking all sorts of horror games. So let's get started. For a quick recap, we see Joey Drew's apartment for a bit. Then the opening cutscene shows Audrey drawing at her desk when she decides to go grab a coffee. We head across the studio, find out the door is locked, run into a Bendy cardboard cutout, and then retrieve our key. Of course, the cutout is now gone, and we proceed closer to the elevator. Once we open the elevator, Creep Lord Wilson stops it from shutting, and decides to hitch a ride with us. The power is having issues though. So we stop in a very historic area of the studio, and then we eventually are sent on a fetch quest to grab the same 6 items from the very first game. Of course, Wilson's true goal was to take an ink bath with us, and we are tossed into the inky depths of the cartoon world. Okay, so that's a quick recap, but now let's go back to the beginning. Now, in that opening cutscene where we see various shots of the apartment, we actually cannot see a whole lot. It's very dark, and the camera is moving around, but we can't see everything. So, the first thing I wanted to do was pay Joey Drew's long overdue electric bill and get the lights back on this place. When this place is brightened, you can see all the different details that you normally cannot see. But his apartment has definitely seen better days. It's overgrown and destroyed. There's some newspapers on the ground that do have headlines that we can read, but I'm not entirely sure if they are significant in terms of the plot of the game. In the back room where the ink machine once was, the windows are actually boarded up. Now we know the ink machine is gone because Wilson has it in the studio, so now we're gonna head over to Audrey's desk. So right off the bat, let's take a look at Audrey. Let's move the camera backwards and see what she looks like. Now obviously we can see her in the mirror, but the actual model that we're walking around as has the head invisible. Lots of games do this, and this is so the player's head does not show up when we're looking through the first-person camera. So yeah, we're headless, but that's okay, it's not a big deal. Something else I want to show you in this first room is that outside the windows, we actually have these covers. So basically, it's a curved picture of the sky that masks the outside world. So when we look through the windows, we can see sort of a bluish blur, but we can't make out what's out there. This is a trick that a lot of games use, and it's kind of neat. But basically, every window we can see out of, sort of, in this office has this effect behind it. But now, let's brighten this place up a bit. It's very dark and dreary, but let's make this game a little less scary. So now all the lights are on in this building, and it actually looks pretty good. I feel like Kevin McAllister from Home Alone stepping outside and thinking, I'm not scared anymore. I think this office has a very nice aesthetic to it when the lights are on. But now that we can see, let's check some things out. So first and foremost, there is like a blocked hallway that you come across when you're trying to make your way out of this area. So like you're walking and there's this desk that's blocking a hallway, but you can see the hallway behind it. Well, we can actually go back there. And when we're back here, it's actually a dead end, but there are 3 different doors in the area. Now, of course, unfortunately, none of these doors can be opened. They all make the door handle jingling sound when you try to open them, and they don't move. But seeing this place made me curious, so I thought I'd show you. So the way this map is set up is we're on this top floor, and there is indeed a floor below us. Now the space between these floors is 200 in-game meters. And what's kind of interesting is that the drop from floor 1 to floor 2 is actually high enough that the player will take fall damage. Now this is a bit weird because this Audrey, I don't think is supposed to have fall damage, but the same characteristics from Ink Audrey from the Ink world does carry over to this human version. So I kept dropping Audrey over and over again, and I realized that they cannot die on this map. For some reason, the HP bar will get stuck at the bottom, and they won't actually die. So I was a bit bummed about this. That's when I took the camera outside the map. Now, this is what those 2 environments look like, the top floor and the bottom floor. This is what they look like when they're fully rendered, and you can see them completely through the camera. And now, while I was looking around and doing this and checking out these various floors, that's when I noticed something really peculiar. At the very bottom of the map were these black objects that I could barely see. They were so far away, so I had to take a closer look. And that's when I realized, deep beneath this map, in the void, were these things called death obelisks. Now full disclosure here, at the time of making this video, I have not played through chapter 1 at all. I'm assuming these are probably related to when the player dies, but if you know what they are, please let me know in the comments below. I'll be doing a full, proper playthrough pretty soon. But down here we have a Bendy figure who's just standing here, but then we have a Bendy sitting on top of this obelisk. And really far away from this Bendy is then a Boris, and this Boris is sitting on top of the obelisk. And very, very far away from this Boris is a lost one. And of course, this lost one is also accompanied by another obelisk. And what's interesting to me is that these obelisks all have the same numbers written on them. There's an 8, a 5, a 12, an upside down 7, and a 15. Does anyone watching know what these mean? Let me know in the comments below. But now let's return to the world of the living. We're going back up top to the elevator scene. So something really weird is that the mop and bucket just sort of slide into view when you go into this hallway before the elevator. Not gonna lie, it looks really weird, and when I saw it the first time in the game, I actually thought it was a glitch. There's like no animation to it, so I just thought it was like a bug or something when this was sliding out. But anyways, this is to show us that Wilson is nearby. And when you go in the elevator, Wilson normally pops out from the right side and he stops the door from shutting. But if we just straight up rip the elevator doors off and we repeat this action, well, you'll see that Wilson truly just slides out of nowhere. Luckily, all the lights are on, so he's not as spooky, but then he joins the elevator, even though this should be a safety violation, and we descend to the lower floor. So when Wilson was tinkering with the power box, I kind of just removed his head. It became true nightmare fuel because his eyeballs and his teeth were just floating there as he was talking to me. And as I progressed, I messed with more and more things. I turned the ink machine to be really, really tiny so that perhaps it wouldn't spill out so much ink. I then just kind of removed the Bendy doll from the chair so that when Audrey went to grab it, she grabbed nothing and then showed it around. But upon going back, Wilson had a growth spurt, and he got so tall that all we could see was his legs from top to bottom. Now, every Wilson action that takes place down here does override the last, so Wilson does shrink back down to normal size, but as we begin powering up this ink machine, I want to see what it looked like without all the background. So we turn off the entire room, and honestly, it's very, very unsettling this way. It kind of reminds me of those voids from Stranger Things. But with this view, we can actually see the ink spreading all across the map. And then of course, we're tossed into the cartoon world. But nope, we're not doing that. We are leaving the ink world the second Audrey appears in it. And Audrey makes her way back to the office. Except, she's looking a little different today. So we can take Ink Audrey back to that first map and look in the mirror, and we can see her just fine. But what's interesting is that Ink Audrey can also jump. So now we have the ability to jump around this map. But there's a major problem. Coming back here with Ink Audrey broke the universe. There's nothing we can do on this map at all. Nothing works, and the entire bottom floor is unloaded. So, unfortunately, Audrey, it looks like you're screwed either way. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the intro of Bendy in the Dark Revival. Subscribe right now if you want to see me tackle the entire game just like this, and I'll see you in the next video very, very soon. Cheers!